We've already been hearing reaction since these strikes happened last night from many politicians on both sides of the aisle. Atlanta News First reporter Blake Devine is live this morning outside of the state capitol. So tell us about the reaction that we've already been hearing since last night, Blake.
Megan, reactions have been pouring in all morning from local leaders right here in Georgia after this breaking news of the 3 missile strikes on the Iranian nuclear site. Some are praising President Trump while others are criticizing this decision and saying that we need to have caution here in America following these attacks. I want to show you a recent statement that was sent out by Senator Raphael Warnock. He posted the following saying, quote, "He has not sought congressional approval and has not sufficiently explained why this operation was necessary right now with thousands of American troops at risk for potential retaliation. This is not the, quote, art of the deal. This is war," and he's referring to President Trump with that. Then on social media, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp posted the President Trump's message on Truth Social while writing the following, quote, "America can never allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Thank you to President Trump, our service members and intelligent personnel and administration officials who conducted this successful operation." Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene writing in part, quote, "There would not be bombs falling on the people of Israel if Netanyahu had not dropped bombs on the people of Iran first. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. This is not our fight. Peace is the answer." Then finally, Senator John Ossoff, a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, posting this, quote, "Congress must be properly and fully briefed on this operation and consulted on the administration strategy." Now, several Democrats have also said that this attack was unconstitutional. Reporting live from the Georgia State Capitol, Blake Devine, Atlanta News First.
No doubt much more to come on this today as we continue to hear reaction as it comes in, Blake. Thank you. We'll stay on top of this story as it develops on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. And as always, download our free news app to get alerts sent straight to your phone.